Hi, everybody. I hope this production works out well. This is a new method that I'm going to use here today for a longer form video. Eventually, I'd like to get into maybe adding some background stuff and sharing images with you guys. But right now, this is all new to me, so I hope it works out. Today I'm going to be talking about the Tao Te Ching. I'll read the first chapter, maybe, or two. It's not very long. They're not long chapters if you've never read it. And I'm going to kind of elaborate on some of this, just my own thoughts on it. So here goes nothing. Chapter 1 of the Tao Te Ching. The Tao that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The name that cannot be named is not the eternal name. The nameless is the origin of heaven and earth. The named is the mother of myriad things. Thus, constantly without desire, one observes its essence. Constantly with desire, one observes its manifestations. These two emerge together but differ in name. The unity is said to be the mystery of mysteries, the door to all wonders. That was chapter 1 of the Tao. One of the things that stands out to me as a Westerner with this philosophy is that they talk about the thing that can be spoken is not the eternal Tao. The name that cannot be named is not the eternal name. So what we have here is a kind of a stark contrast of the Judeo-Christian aspect of it, where the word is the creation of all. Now, I've heard it described as the English translation lacking quite a bit, because it's not just, it doesn't negate the word aspect of it. It just means that if we can say it, it's not the eternal. I don't know how accurate that is, because it's something that I've heard, somebody way smarter than I am, but it's still something that I've heard, so I don't know, I do not read Chinese, that's for sure. And the original Tao Te Ching is in Chinese, so hopefully this information's good. One of the things that stands out to me, apart from that, another thing rather that stands out to me is the named is the mother of myriad things, which means that basically our ability to speak things into existence is the mother of this myriad things that's spoken about so often in the Tao. But it's the things that we create, or the things that we have the ability to create, the ability to name, are not the eternal. It's the eternal is outside of what we have the ability to tactily observe, visibly, our neurological function has the ability to observe. Another thing that stands out again is that without desire, one observes its essence. With desire, one observes its manifestations. And the its that it's talking about is the Tao. So if we are able to observe without desire, without that ego-driven, the ego that drives us to, as Terence McKenna once said, put the food in your mouth instead of in the mouth of the person sitting at the table across from yours when you go to eat at a restaurant. That's the ego, not the egotistical modern use of the word ego. So if we're allowed to look at the universe, basically look at nature, the nature of things, look at their being without the desire that sits in all of us, then what we're looking at is the essence of the Tao. We're observing the essence. If we look at the things with desire, what we're observing is just the manifestation of the Tao. So what it's saying is you kind of have to put your ego aside. You have to kind of put your humanity almost. You have to almost not be a human or not think like a human in order to observe the essence of the Tao. But even then, you're not observing the Tao itself. You're observing only its essence. these two emerge together but differ in name. So again, these things come, they're not separate. Chapter 2 elaborates a little bit more on that. It says, when the world knows beauty as beauty, ugliness arises. When it knows good as good, evil arises. Thus being and non-being produce each other. Being and non-being produce each other. Difficult and easy bring about each other. Long and short reveal each other. High and low support each other. Music and voice harmonize each other. Front and back follow each other. Therefore the sages manage the work of detached actions, conduct the teaching of no words. They work with myriad things but do not control. They create but do not possess. They act but do not presume. They succeed but do not dwell on success. It is because they do not dwell on success that it never goes away. And that's the end of chapter 2 of the Tao. So what it's saying in chapter 2, what it's elaborating on, is this idea of the mutual arisal of things, of natures, of the nature of an object. It says front and back. You could think about that as like, heads and tails on a coin. You can't have a coin with a heads and no tails. If it was Alan Watts that said in one of his lectures, he said if you tried to take a file and file off the tails of a coin and continue to file it down all the way until the tails of the coin was gone, the heads would be gone too. You'd have no coin left. So the side of the side of the coin, you can file the image that's embossed in the coin away and have a flat surface, but that's not what he was getting at. So what he was getting at is that there's this sort of this implication. One implies the other. Light implies darkness. Therefore, life implies death, and death implies life as well. So you have this sort of mutual occurrence of these things that they mutually assure the other's existence, light and darkness, and you can get into the whole yin and yang, the feminine and masculine, and all of this other stuff. The myriad things in the universe are all born out of this mutual implication. You're never gonna find a place that has flowers with no bees, and vice versa. You're never going to find a place that has flowing water on the surface of the planet with no rainfall somewhere else. There's a mutual implication there. I mean, okay, so it's like, springs, for anybody who wants to, you get what I'm saying. There's the implication of somewhere where there's water flowing, somewhere else on the planet it fell at one point in time. So that's kind of the idea, is that there's all of this mutual arisal of things into existence, and we're not separate from that. We're not separated from it. We are a part of this system that our existence is implied by many different things. Another thing that brings to mind is the Hindu legend, the Hindu myth, if you want to call it that, the creation story of that one of many. Hindus have many creation stories, but one of them is the creation story of Brahma. Reading into it recently, I've learned that it's sort of this incestuous tale, which is kind of gross, but I heard it told once by a guy named Dr. Christian Shorey. He was a teacher at the Colorado School of Mines. And the way that he told it was beautiful. I'm going to butcher his version of it, but effectively what it was that Brahma was kind of floating in nothingness, and he thought that what am I? And as soon as he thought the word I, or the idea of I, he became nervous because he realized there was an I to protect. And after millennia of pondering in space or wherever the hell he was, he realized that he had nothing to fear because he was alone. And he separated himself into two beings and created him to the two parts, male and female. And in this story, you sort of have the the acknowledgement of existence, and then the mutual arisal of male and female at the same time. So it kind of follows similar similar ideas. So the female version didn't really want to have anything to do with the male counterpart, so she took off, and he chased her around, and she transformed herself into a cow, and he transformed himself into a bull, and she transformed herself into a female horse, or whatever the hell those are called, and he transformed himself into the male counterpart, and on went the story through all of the animal kingdom and all of the world. And eventually they got down to the tiniest little, animals, ants, whatever, microbes. I don't know how far the story went. And eventually Brahma looked back at the world that he had created, and he no longer felt lonely. And not only that, but he was very pleased in the recognition that all of the world was himself, and that it was all that again, you have this idea, this idea of mutual arisal with the male and female, but all of the rest of the world as well. And I heard, it was Alan Watts again, I heard Alan Watts say that the Tao is the thing, is that space, that energy, that component of mutual implication. It's not the one or the other, and it's not the both together. It is the thing that makes them necessary for one another. And I think that's a really interesting way to sort of take this on when you're thinking about it. Well, guys, I hope this wasn't too terrible. I hope you got something out of it. If you would like, I'll get better. Thanks for following. Thanks for paying attention. If you liked the video, if you enjoyed the video, if you enjoyed the information, if you thought it was useful, please go ahead and like the video. And if you like what I'm doing, please subscribe to the channel. Comments, I always try to reply to comments. I have not had many, so I've replied to all of them so far. And I'll continue to try to reply to all of the comments, even if it's nothing more than, thanks for stopping by. Let me know if you want to hear more of the Tao Te Ching or whatever. Anything. I'm here trying to build this based on what I'm interested in, so I'm going to hit a lot of different things. I'm covering philosophy right now because it's a little easier to talk about than the other stuff that I enjoy. The other stuff that I enjoy, I want to get the facts a little straighter. Philosophy is a little more of an open topic because I'm not teaching like a history of philosophy class. I'm just talking about the philosophies themselves and my take on them. So yeah, again, thank you. Thanks for coming by, and I hope you enjoyed it.